Hey guys, happy Wednesday morning. Assuming you're watching this on Wednesday. Um, we've been having just a great experience in this Dateable series. And I, it feels like to me, and kind of getting feedback from some of you, that there's been some confusion over what this series really is. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure what we can do to communicate that clearly. But I just want to reiterate it here again that this series has been predominantly about how we relate to one another, whether that is a dating relationship, which most of our students are not involved in, but we want to set them up to succeed in those types of relationships. So we're laying the groundwork on how we can have godly relationships in every aspect of our lives, whether it's with you as their parents, their friends, their siblings, neighbors, their small group leaders, and other people in their small groups. We want them to learn to be the types of people that God is calling us to be. And so we're helping them think through some relational things in this series, most importantly. So what we've done as we've gone through this series, we have first, we've focused on what it looks like to love God well, and then how that pours out into our relationships with other people. So love God, love people. 2 weeks ago, Josh Snyder, our intern, spoke on what it looks like to have face-to-face communications in every conversation, in every relationship, whether it's learning to pour ourselves more frequently into the face-to-face, eye-to-eye communication, instead of relying on our technology. Because we all know that you can't read someone's body language or the look in their eyes via text. So you don't know intent. You can't read tone. And so a lot of these conversations that they are having over text and IMs and direct messages on Twitter or Instagram, all of those things are playing into a communication gap that is getting wider, not smaller. So we're trying to give students the information and the tools that they need to have real face-to-face conversations, most importantly when it matters most, like when they need to have a hard conversation with somebody, whether that's a friend that's not relating well to them or has hurt them, or they have hurt someone else. The proper communication tool is not a text message, it is a face-to-face conversation. And so then playing that out in a dating relationship, what does that look like in breaking up with someone or starting a relationship? You don't want to start out relying on text, and so how do we best have those communications? And so trying to give them those tools. And then this last Sunday night, I focused on what it looks like to be relationally solid in our actions. And we talked about the fact that who we're becoming is greater than looking for someone. So becoming is greater than finding. So we're focusing on who we are becoming as people. And so I focused on 1 Corinthians chapter 13, the love passage. Love is patient, love is kind, down the list, all of those characteristics of what real love looks like. And I challenged our students, who are you becoming? What does that look like? What are the characteristics that someone would look at you and say you have? Would you rather someone say that you are patient, kind, that you're not envious, that you're not boastful, that you're not looking after your own interests first? Or would someone say that describe you as impatient, mean, boastful, all about yourself? And so I asked them, which list would you like to be described as? So I challenged them in, what does their character look like? And how can we ask God to help us to take steps to being the kind of people that He asks us to be? And we want the characteristics of what love looks like, and not necessarily in a dating relationship. So those are the things that we've covered. And so I wanted to just put that out there, and just as a quick reminder, We are continuing our social media emphasis on dating things. Again, at my social media, my personal social media, I'm putting out quotes and things that I think are beneficial to you, so check that out, as well as giving our students thoughts throughout this series at our ACF Brushy Creek Students Instagram account and Facebook page. Wanted to remind you again that we do not meet this Sunday night, the first weekend of spring break. So enjoy your spring break, and but remember that we will be back. Will be March 19th. That second weekend of spring break, that second Sunday night of spring break, we will meet, and we will finish up this Dateable series that night with our what it's basically our God's plan for sex. And my emphasis will be all about that God says that the intimacy in sex is meant for a man and a woman in the context of marriage. I'm going to mostly talk about what it looks like to step outside that and the consequences of that. We will talk a little bit on the physical consequences of those types of things, but mostly I'm going to talk about the spiritual and emotional implications of stepping outside of God's plan. And the main key focus that weekend will be this: that when God says no, it's because He has a better yes planned for us. And so we're going to challenge our students to say yes to God. Again, we're not going to focus on sex per se. I mean, we're going to focus on what it looks like to be a follower of God. What does it look like to follow Jesus in His plan for sex? And so it won't be much different than any of the other messages that we brought in this series. We're just going to ask them to say yes to what God is asking us to say yes to, and say no to the things that He's asking us to say no to. Not because necessarily of consequences of our actions, but because of the consequences of the relational component of being separated from God, putting up walls between us and God. We want to focus on our relationship with God. We want to do what God is asking us to do because we love Him and we want to follow His Son Jesus. And so that's what we'll be focused on. I'm looking forward to that talk. I've got some cool object lessons planned for that talk, and I'm looking forward to the conversations that come out of our small groups. So if you have yet to have that conversation, specifically if you have a middle school student and you haven't opened the door to that discussion, I would encourage you highly to do so. It'll be much easier to have the conversations in the aftermath of what I hope will be open dialogue after our session on the 19th. If you have opened the door to that conversation beforehand. So I challenge you to do that. Hope that you will, praying for you guys as you do that. Finally, I want to take a look at what it might look like for you to encourage your students to take on those characteristics of what love looks like from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. First off, obviously, the easiest way to do that is to model that for them. They see us loving the way God calls us to love, then it becomes more naturally to them. Some of the other things that you can do, specifically that we make available opportunities, is we can show love to one another by the way we serve people. And so I encourage you to take opportunities to serve as a family. Serve our city is a great opportunity to do that. We typically offer opportunities during Serve Our City to serve parents and students together. So that's an opportunity for us to show love. One of the biggest ways that we can challenge our students in loving one another is how we approach people that have no way to reciprocate what we are giving them. And so Serve Our City is awesome because our projects that we have available, typically we'll come in and serve a ministry or a group of people, and there's no expectation that they will be able to serve us back, and that's okay. That's what we want. We want to challenge our students to to love even when the situation is not reciprocated, when that other person cannot give us something in return. We really want to cultivate a heart that wants to love regardless of what is given in return. And so those are some ways that we can do that. How can we do that as a family? Talk about it. Sit down around the dinner table, shut off devices. We need to do that here at my house even a little better. Shut off devices during dinner and talk about issues like this. Walk through the list again with your students around the dinner table or at bedtime, or in a family meeting setting, and just ask some questions like, what does it look like for us to love in a patient way? How can I be more patient with you? Ask that of them. Ask them as their parent. How could you be more patient with them? How can they be more patient with their siblings or you? And go down the list and open that dialogue of what love looks like, and walk down that road of challenging one another in the family context of walking a tighter road of love together, one-on-one, that way. This series has been awesome. So looking forward to being able to get back together with your students on the 19th, Sunday night, 6:30 at the YMCA. Finish up our Dateable series, and I'm just really anxious in a good way to see what God's going to do as we continue this conversation about relationships with our students. We're also going to jump into another series right after that. We have D Now coming up March 25th and 26th. If your student is not signed up for that, it's a great opportunity to do that, as well as we have a long sleeve t-shirt order that we're about to put in. Ask your student about that. If they would like one, see me. We need to know about that probably by Monday next week. And those are $15. Your student will know on Instagram where to find the design if you want to look at that and see what it looks like. So those are the things that are going on. I'm looking forward to walking with you further on down the road and watching our students grow in their relationship with Christ. So hope you guys have a great week. See you soon.